Donald Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, dialed up the rhetoric during a rally in Ohio this weekend. It's still generating headlines. Yesterday's event meant to support Senate candidate Bernie Moreno, but one line in particular from the former president garnered a lot of reaction from people on both sides of the aisle. Take a listen.
If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
So what can be gleaned from Trump's latest comments? For that, we are joined by NewsNation politics and economics contributor Mick Mulvaney, who once served as White House chief of staff under Donald Trump. Mick, it's good to see you this evening. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Natasha. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day to you as well. Let's talk about this. The Biden campaign releasing a statement condemning those comments, saying, quote, he wants another January 6th, but the American people are going to give him another electoral defeat this November because they continue to reject his extremism. Mick, what was your first reaction when hearing those remarks?
Yeah, my first reaction was actually go watch the entire tape. I'm a little disappointed we only played the clip at the very end. If you put it in context, and I didn't realize this until I went to go do the research, it's a conversation about Chinese automakers trying to use Mexico to get cars into the United States. And Trump said he wasn't going to allow it because it would be bad for American workers. But if he lost the election, it would be a bloodbath, implying be a bloodbath in the American automobile industry. So I'm a little disappointed in the press in not showing that thing in context. Look, Donald Trump is capable of saying just about anything. There is no question about that. And I think what folks have come to learn is either you think he speaks literally or figuratively. And that's sort of what I thought this conversation was going to be about before I actually went to go see the whole clip. But if you watch the entire clip, it's clear in context. This is related to a discussion about the Chinese influence in the American automotive industry, which would be a big deal in Ohio, which is where he was today campaigning.
Okay, so in your mind, this comment was limited entirely to the auto industry, not comments implying potentially another January 6th.
Yeah, I think if anybody would actually go watch the entire, I don't know, it doesn't take but about 30 seconds to look at the whole clip. You'd look at it and go, well, okay, yeah. Is it good language for a president of the United States? No, look, and I always struggle with the language that Donald Trump used. But I also know that he doesn't speak literally all the time. In this particular sense, I think it was probably not the best language, but certainly not what the Democrats are making it out to be. It's not calling for warfare if he loses the election, which is what a lot of folks in the left seem to be wanting to make it into.
Yeah, okay, Mick, I appreciate that context. And you know this man personally. You understand his motivations. You know his mind. Are you concerned about another January 6th, regardless of these comments?
No, these comments have nothing to do with the January 6th. Am I concerned generally with him not accepting a loss? Yes, and here's why. The people that are around him now, he doesn't have anybody anymore, Natasha, who would tell him what he doesn't want to hear. And the folks in the immediate inner circle are like, yes, Mr. President, I think that's a great idea. And you can't get good information. When you are president of the United States, you're one of the most isolated and insulated people in the world. And if you don't have close advisors willing to tell you straight truths, that can be a very, very damaging sort of situation. That bothers me more than anything else. It certainly bothers me a heck of a lot more than this video today from Ohio.
Okay, I appreciate that. I do want to ask about Republican Senator Bill Cassidy. He says that whether Trump was talking about political violence or if he was talking about the auto industry and the economy, his word choice is still not going to sit well with some. Let's take a listen to that.
The general tone of the speech is why many Americans continue to wonder, should President Trump be president? That kind of rhetoric, it's always on the edge, maybe doesn't cross, maybe does, depending upon your perspective.
Do you agree with this?
I think that's a fair criticism, Natasha. As I just said a moment ago, the language itself is unpresidential. And when a presidential candidate uses that type of language, it's going to give the other side the opportunity to sort of turn it into something else. And at the end of the day, perception is reality oftentimes in politics. And if you are a swing voter sitting home and you're not going to take the time maybe to watch the whole speech, or you don't really care, but you see, wow, Donald Trump is calling for a bloodbath, that will turn off those independent and swing voters. And Trump needs to be aware of that. I think he's got to make a decision. Does he want to try and reach out to folks in the center? Does he want to try and reach out to swing voters, to impressionable voters? Or is he just trying to make sure his people show up and he's counting on his base to deliver him a victory? Right now, it looks like it's the latter, and I don't know if that's the right call for him to make or not.
Mick, I'm hoping I can get to a couple more topics with you because there are a lot of political headlines today. Let's talk about Congress. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer rebuked Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, calling for new elections in that country. And then Netanyahu, meanwhile, has approved these plans to invade the southernmost city in the Gaza Strip. Are the two allies nearing a possible tipping point over this war? Has it already happened?
Yeah, the answer to your question is yes. I think you're moving towards a political tipping point. I think the Democrats are very frightened privately about what's happening, especially in Michigan.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.